Vigdinda video with a quiet but emotionally gripping moment where an elderly parent speaks directly to the audience, their voice trembling slightly, yet filled with pain, asking, "Have you ever been betrayed by someone you loved the most?" They pause, taking a deep breath, before revealing that after decades of hard work, endless sacrifices, and a life spent ensuring their children would never want for anything. Their own daughter took their pension money without permission and left for a trip. The parent explains how the initial shock was overwhelming, a cold knot forming in the stomach. But the real nightmare began later that evening, when, driven by hunger and a faint hope that at least something had been left behind, they opened the fridge, only to find a scene that made them scream. A scream not just of hunger, but of heartbreak, disbelief, and betrayal. The story then slowly moves back in time to paint the full picture, a life built on hard work, starting from early morning labor to late nights of exhaustion, working multiple jobs and skipping meals so that their children could have an education, clothing, and small luxuries that the parent had never experienced. Every decision was made with the thought that one day their children would care for them, that when the years passed and health began to decline, there would be comfort, respect, and dignity. The parent recalls watching the daughter grow, from a small child clutching their hand to a teenager with dreams and ambitions, always trusting, always loving, never imagining that this very love could be turned into a weapon of betrayal. As the years passed, the daughter became increasingly independent, offering to manage household finances and even the parents' pension, saying it was to help ease their burdens, to allow them to rest and enjoy their later years. The parent, overwhelmed with gratitude and a sense of relief, handed over the responsibility without hesitation, believing completely in her intentions, never questioning that the very person they trusted most could one day exploit that trust. Slowly, subtle warning signs began to appear, though they were ignored at first. Small excuses about why groceries hadn't been bought, sudden delays in paying bills, vague explanations about spending that didn't quite add up, and an increasing emotional distance that the parent brushed off as stress or preoccupation. These were small cracks in an otherwise loving relationship, cracks that the parent, in their trust and love, could not imagine were harbingers of the storm that was coming. Then one day, a check arrived empty, a notification of the pension not being deposited, and the parent felt a sinking feeling that something was terribly wrong. Denial was the first reaction. They thought it was a bank error, a technical mistake, something temporary. But the worry lingered, growing heavier with every passing hour. They called the daughter, their voice trembling with concern, asking what had happened, only to be met with a casual, almost dismissive explanation that she had taken the money for a short trip and would return it soon. She spoke with a tone that implied it was her right, as if the sacrifices of the parent and their expectations were irrelevant, and tried to make them feel guilty for questioning her. Confusion, fear, and anger swelled inside. But the parent's physical weakness, compounded by age, meant there was no immediate confrontation, only waiting and watching, the house growing emptier, the pantry less stocked, and the silence louder with each passing hour. Hunger set in, but more than that, the emotional weight was crushing the feeling of being abandoned by someone whose love was assumed unconditional, whose respect was promised yet withdrawn.